One guy I didn't like.
Yeah, either didn't work for you in the business or personally didn't like him for some reason.
Well, I have to go with Kevin Nash.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think he was pretty limited as far as talent. I think his height, got him where he was. He was an opportunist, which is a quality. I can't say it's not good to be opportunist, but also I would say maybe hypocrite, because a few times we met, we had our tough times together. He was pretty arrogant to me when he said that in Montreal, it was going to be the big boot and the jackknife, and he said that like a month and a half before showtime, which I never heard of that. And I think he was pretty arrogant when he said that. But after that, it always made me feel like he buried the hatchet, and we did bury the hatchet even after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, or whatever the time might have been. Every time I would see him into a show, like I was getting signed by WCW, I saw him, big hug, and then 2 weeks after that, I was out of there. Always made me, fired me from somewhere, so always got me fired from everywhere I got, whatever it was WCW a few times, 2 or 3 times that I got hired, and he got there, and then he got me fired, or ECW, or TNA, and things like that. So I have to go with Kevin Nash, just for personal reasons.
Now, as soon as I told a couple of the interns that I was doing the interview with you, their eyes got real big, and they went, "Oh my God, did you hear about him and Kevin Nash?" And of course, I didn't know. I didn't know the story, and I looked it up, and I read about the story. Now you matched up with Kevin Nash not too long ago, and from what I understand, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand, you decided to take matters into your own hands, and you pretty much did a shoot on him, and you made him tap out. Is that true?
Yeah. Absolutely. I gave him a medicine of his own. I gave him what he always gave me. He always gave me a tap in the back. Oh, you're great, you're good. Let's bury the hatchet. Let's do this the good way, proper way. And after that, I was always stabbed in the back. So always what I did, first I wanted to see if he wanted to put me over in Montreal, which is my hometown, where I was. I've been pretty big because I've been on TV for quite a few years, doing different stuff and things like that, and always in the paper. And I'm a pretty well-known face here in Montreal. Anyways, showtime came, he said, listen, man, NWO was me. I was, a world champion in WCW, a world champion in New York, a world champion everywhere I've been, and things like that. I said, it's not going to be a good thing for my career. I said, Kevin, this is an indie show, this has got nothing to do with your career. We're in Montreal. There's 1,500 people outside there. It's not going to hurt you. He says, no, I'm not going to put you over, but he says, I'll give you 90% of the match, and then I'll beat you with the big boot and the jackknife. So I didn't want to argue with him, so I went along with it, but in my mind, I always knew I was going to fuck him over. So I said, okay. I went along with it as he went for the jackknife, kicked out at one, got him confused, he didn't know how to respond to that, and I think he was a little afraid of me too, because he went on radio before, and he was like working me, He told the guy, well, actually, I've been watching the newspaper this morning, because we had a full color page in the biggest newspaper in Montreal, which is 2 million readers, and he saw a picture of me, and he has a big picture of himself too, and he went on the radio, and he says, actually, I'm thinking about maybe I'll give him a job in TNA, because he's looking pretty good. So he was trying to pull me on his good side, like he always done before. But this time I didn't bite, I didn't go for it, because I knew he was not going to do anything. I knew it was pure bullshit to get what he wanted to have. So I made sure, because he heard that I was going to shoot on him and everything, but he didn't want to go and shoot and didn't want to do anything like that. Didn't want to have a real match. Didn't want to have a shoot match or a street fight, a real street fight. So he wanted to wrestle and work it. And so I just made sure I was going to have him submit. So
now he actually, sorry to interrupt you, but he actually said, before the match, he actually took the microphone and said, "Hey, I've already got my money. If anybody's planning to shoot on me, you know." And I thought to myself, I said, "This big guy must be scared." You know, why would you even say? Why would you even get on the mic? I mean, he must. Yeah,
he was scared. Actually, a lot of his friends says, "Oh, you're going to Montreal by yourself. You're not afraid." He probably knew he was going to try to work everybody on this one, you know, and he was getting paid. He was getting paid a lot of money to do it, so he knew what was going to happen. So he knew he was going to work me and say, you know, he was going to get me into TNA and things like that. But yeah, I didn't bite for it because I didn't believe it. Because I've heard it so many times, his little songs and his little like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and you're great and things like that. And you know, in this business, you can't trust, you cannot trust a lot of people. You know how it is. You know, it's hard to trust someone, especially when you had like different hard times. You know, different times where it was tough. You know, where you had to argue and character didn't get along that well together. So I just made sure I was going to have him submit and tap out and then just feel good about it. You know, since that day, you know, there's not one day that I've been getting up in the morning and I don't feel happy about what I've been doing.
There you go.